Hi guys, I'm Dr. Anne and this is the Health Hub. If it's your first time here, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, of course. And yeah, so today I'll be telling you on how I got through med school without any textbook. I will just be giving you tips on how I managed to finesse my way through university with minimal to no textbooks. This video is not only helpful to people in the medical field, but also people who are in other fields. Also can apply if you're doing like accounting, engineering, drama, whatever. So basically, I'll just tell you a bit of my experience before I get to the top 5 ways on how I got through med school with no textbooks. So initially, when I got to medical school, I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any experience. I had no one to ask on things to buy, books to buy, things like that. So I had no advice. And like any other first year student, I literally bought everything that was on the list. So my parents and I got the list. The books mounted up to like, 3, 4K. We bought the books. Oh, gosh, what a waste. The reason why I'm saying that these books were such a waste is because I hardly ever used them and they did not really contribute in giving me any knowledge in terms of what was actually asked and what was required in terms of the course. Basically, what had happened was that I initially started using them. And then I just saw that it wasn't working out for me. I started failing and I was just like, no ways, there's something that I'm definitely doing wrong. And I knew it was the textbooks. I knew, don't let nobody tell you that you're dumb. Also, just focusing on material and studying material that is not actually asked. So in the end, I ended up getting a 78% average in my course. And yes, I didn't get a cum laude because apparently you have to get an 80% in final year to cum, which I didn't. So whatever. Tip number 1, I know it sounds old, I know it's like boring or whatever, but it's very important to find a mentor. So this is important because finding a mentor, just like I know people are like shy and they don't want to annoy people and whatnot, but finding a mentor assists you in, sort of getting an overview on what is actually being asked, because you'll find that there'll be course material that you'll be getting from your mentor, especially if they're in that specific field. Maybe if you're in first year, you find a mentor in like second year or third year. So that really assists you with getting course material that you wouldn't, necessarily have access to. And this then assists in you knowing what is actually asked, knowing what is expected, because that's why most people fail. Like we all were smart enough to get through university, to get to university. We all were smart enough. We probably all were top 10s wherever, or got good enough grades. But what causes people to get excluded and fail, and it's just not it's not focusing on what is being asked, or not being aware of what it is that is expected of you as as a student, and that results in failure. So getting a mentor assists with combating that. Tip number 2, do not be an island. So I don't know how to stress this even more. Like, you have to connect with other people that are in your class. Like, it also assists with, sometimes you don't hear a lot of things, like sometimes you forget and stuff like that. But if you connected with people who are doing the same course as you, then you're able to work together with them, form groups. If you don't understand, you're able to have people who will maybe explain something to you. So basically, I say this because, without sounding racist, there are other certain racial groups that have been doing this medical thing for like years and years and years. I know us people, black people, we only getting opportunities to do this now. So take for example the Jews and the Indians. I mean, they have past papers from like 1980, like 1965, I don't know, but they have archives. And it's important that you link up with them and maybe know one person who has a connection with them. That's how that's what we did as a class, like during our year, that we even formulated a whole Google Drive on resource materials, on notes, because those are things that get asked. They don't ask textbook stuff, they ask relevant stuff, notes and written down things, and you'll waste so much time reading a thick textbook like this and end up failing. And this tip, I feel, is the most important tip. So if you don't have textbooks, for any reason, I mean, some people can't afford textbooks, some people, because when you actually have a bursary, even though there is a certain amount of money that's allocated to textbooks, you find that that money, especially if you're going to a university that's pretty expensive. I know Wits University is a very expensive university, and UCT is also another quite expensive university. So with universities like that, you find what we had issues with, especially as students or medical students, was that the bursaries wouldn't cover everything. So in another university, maybe they would, but at Wits, because everything would mount up to like 130 to 140K a year at that time, it made it so much harder for bursaries to actually pay the full amount. So you find that you have to cut down meals and, use the textbook money to try to cover for the actual costs that need to be paid for, like it's getting textbook summaries. I know. They're all available. Like, there's just people who have time to make summaries, and people like us who don't, who just, take the summaries and make the most out of them. So basically, there's textbook summaries. There's also notes, like maybe Toronto notes, or Toronto University notes, that we found to be useful, especially in our course. So basically, because I could not afford to get textbooks, or probably chose to do other things with my money besides buying textbooks, I got textbook summaries. Tip number 3. And with textbook summaries, the nice thing about them is that they are relevant. It's like the person who creates the textbook summary goes through the textbook and basically writes down the important thing that actually gets asked. So those were really, really helpful, because it cost literally like $50 to print out a textbook summary and have it bound and really neatly made into a nice book. And the nice thing about it is that because it's paper, you could like literally put your notes on the side. If you needed anything from the textbook, you could go to the library, loan a book for a couple of days, and add some notes on the side if you needed to, or if you're just OCD, double check a couple of stuff. The information was very easy to process, and it was so relevant. Like, I'm not even kidding you when I say go to the paper. Literally, what gets asked is what was in the summaries, or textbook summaries, tutorials, notes from lectures, and the summaries, and that's all you needed. That was enough. So tip number 4 is to actually just go through the sections, write down stuff on the side, go to the library to get more information. If you need to print out certain pages or pictures from textbooks, then you can actually just loan a book from the library and still succeed. So tip number 5, the internet is your friend. And by this, I mean that now that you have your information and your notes and everything, it's important that you go through papers that were released that are recent regarding those specific topics. So this is when you're like gunning for the A's, like to actually not only limit yourself to that information, to go on PubMed or Google Scholar with every topic. Just go through what the latest research is about that specific topic, and honey, you made. Like, one thing that helped me, oh gosh, how can I forget? Like, YouTube is literally your friend. They explain, like, there's so many videos of how things are actually done and how things are explained. And it's so important for you to actually go through them. Like, it just made so much sense, like hearing and having someone else explain to you, because I mean, in a lecture theater full of like 200 other students, I mean, makes it even harder for you to go to the lecturer to have them explain something to you. And it also assists in you putting all the information into boxes, so that when you actually need the information to be retrieved, you're able to know where to find it. And this assisted with things like mnemonics and things like that, remembering work as a whole. I still know how to draw the brachial plexus. If you're still a university student, so just keep on holding on, and eventually you will conquer the edge. Make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, and I will catch you on my next video.